We bring in on a day of breaking news. Russell Wilson benched with the Denver Broncos. James Jones, Super Bowl champ, part of the Raiders broadcast team. Good to see you as always. Congratulations.
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's start with the Russell Wilson stuff. So we had said during the offseason, I remember the day the Broncos signed Jarrett Stidham to a pretty healthy backup quarterback number.
Yeah.
And I was like, I thought the Raiders liked him, but they didn't want to get into a bidding war.
Yeah.
And the number was pretty tasty.
Yeah.
Was that a sign that things may not be great with Russ and Peyton?
I don't think it was a sign. I truly believe Peyton took this job knowing that Russell Wilson was there. Knowing that, with what I do, with how I develop quarterbacks, I can get Russell Wilson playing at a high level in my system. He was working here. It's not like he was a defensive coordinator and it's like, oh, my opportunity arose. They don't got no quarterback, but I'm going to take the – like, you chose this spot. And I truly believe he does not choose this spot if he doesn't have a capable quarterback. He's trying to chase championships and Super Bowls. So I think he took this job for Russell Wilson. Yes, Russell Wilson did play bad last year, so – I want to get a guy who I do know is a capable backup to go down here and help me win some games if something happens to Russell Wilson. And it just so happened that Russell Wilson, especially lately, has been playing bad football, and this is the decision they came with. But I think he took this job knowing that Russell Wilson was there to try to get Russell Wilson right.
Okay, so we talked about the market. It's about a month ago, J-Mac said on the air, he said Justin Fields has a 10-team market, and I laughed at him. And then he started naming teams, and I'm like, well, they would be interested.
Yeah.
Well, I think they Atlanta, Washington, and he probably has a 6 or 7 team market.
Especially the way he's been playing lately.
There's a market. Mm-hmm. My question is, Russell's expensive.
Yeah.
You've seen the best of him, unlike Justin Fields, where there's cheap and there's growth. Mm-hmm. Is there much of a market for him? I mean, there's a market.
Yes. I mean, there's always a market for quarterbacks that accomplish what Russell Wilson has accomplished because it's always going to be that one organization, that one team that's like, hey, you know what I mean? Maybe he might get back to the old Russ with us. Who knows? So,
and GMs and coaches you're on the
really,
hot seat.
Yes, you're really willing to take that chance. The only scary thing is the price. You know what I'm saying? That's the only scary team with the price. But you can't tell me 3 or 4 teams wouldn't want Russell Wilson. Well, and I think that's the mindset of the Denver Broncos. Right? Let's sit him because it's going to be 3 or 4 teams that might want to come and trade for Russell Wilson.
Well, let's pivot to the Raiders.
Uh-huh.
So it's interesting. I know Antonio Pierce and I like him.
Mm-hmm.
One of the dangers of firing a coach mid-season is you get the interim coach bounce.
Yeah.
But he's coached in the NFL 2 years.
Yeah.
Brandon Staley 4, and that wasn't enough.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't completed passes last week in 3 quarters and haven't scored a touchdown in 2 or 3 games.
Yeah.
I can like the guy in the story, but think to myself, 12 of the 14 playoff teams have an offensive coach, and that's where the league's pivoting to.
Yeah.
You're in that Raiders organization. I'm not doubting any of it.
Mm-hmm.
Know him, like him, a real guy's guy.
Yeah.
You'll meet nobody that doesn't like Antonio.
Yeah.
He's a dude's dude.
Yep.
If you went out, do a UFC fight or a game with him,
100%.
You'd love it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean he's the right fit. Are the Raiders kind of in a situation where the locker room will turn on the owner if they don't give him the job?
I think they'll turn on the owner if Antonio Pierce don't get this job.
Yeah.
I think Antonio Pierce is the guy for this job. And the main reason why I say that is because the mindset of this football team, right? Usually I've been a part of some interim head coach. It lasts for a week, 2 weeks. Dennis Allen, when I was at the Raiders, got fired. Coach Sperano came in. He buried the football. Rest in peace, Tony Sperano. Yeah, he buried the football.
I remember that.
And we went out there and we won a couple games, right? Playing with a whole different energy. But eventually it wore off a little bit. You don't see that with this team, right? You see the guys responding to Antonio Pierce. You see the way the team is playing out there. You know what I mean? Just the energy, the effort, the passion, the mindset, the team that this is playing with. Like, nobody could tell me when the Raiders scored those 2 defensive touchdowns that the Chiefs wasn't going to come back in that game. Because that's what the Chiefs have done to the Raiders. That's what the Raiders have done in the past is, hey, you make a couple plays and then you give up a game. Since Antonio Pierce has been there, this has been a different mindset for the Raiders team. And one thing I know about Antonio Pierce, because I coach Antonio Pierce's sons in Arizona. He plays on my younger son's team, and one of them plays on my older son's team. One thing I know about him is he knows what he needs. So when you're saying the offensive side of the ball, he been in college, he been in high school. This dude knows how to build a team and knows what it takes and knows the players that he needs. So I truly believe deep down in my heart Antonio Pierce is the guy for this job to take the Raiders to where they are trying to go. And you got a guy that these players love, that they're going to fight for day in and day out. I think Antonio Pierce is the guy. And it's all about, Emmanuel Acho says this all the time. It's all about doing your part on your side of the ball. Since he has got there, and I know Patrick Graham is calling the plays, but this defense has been playing lights out.
Well, it's very physical.
Yeah, and you have to start somewhere. You know what I mean? And that defense he's going to get some more players on that defense as well. But I think Antonio Pierce is the guy for this job. I do.
He's going to hire a good OC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If I was the GM, Mark, I would hire
all right.
our owner.
All right. So I got into this discussion. Is that the MVP race? And I don't like this.
Yeah.
I guess when I was a kid, a little boy, I collected baseball cards. But since then, I'm not really a stats guy.
Yeah.
I watch the games. Yeah. I watch J-Mac and I sit in front of TVs all the time. It's an unhealthy lifestyle, right? You sit and watch TV. And I watch players who are influential. And I'll give you the player I talked about earlier. How many sacks has Aaron Donald gotten teammates for 12 years?
Big time.
Dude, the Rams have 2 third-round rookie defensive linemen. Everybody's like, they're great. And I'm like, they get singular block.
No doubt. Yeah.
Aaron Donald has been the most influential defensive player since LT or Reggie White.
No question.
He gets everybody else sacked. Yep. Remember how good Von Miller was playing with him for an hour?
Played against him.
He wasn't that good in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Right? So I watch Lamar. I don't care about stats. Man. How come their run game is number one and they're missing O-linemen? Yep. They're on Gus Edwards. I watched that game, and my takeaway on that game, all those pros, San Francisco was afraid of Lamar.
No question about it.
Afraid of him.
Yep. I showed on Speak with the Speak family yesterday, I showed some plays of Lamar Jackson. If you watch that San Francisco 49ers team, you have Nick Bosa, you have Chase Young, you
Fred
got Armstead, dudes that are making a lot of money. They were not even rushing Lamar. You are the highest paid defensive player in football. And the game plan is for you to stand back there and try to read and catch Lamar? Like that, but that's the Lamar Jackson effect. That ain't no stats. That's what Lamar Jackson brings to the football field and the fear that he puts in these players. And the couple times they did rush, there he goes. And he's out of there and he's making plays with his legs. But
look at you, to your point. You're right.
He had all day to throw the ball and the defensive lineman was not rushing. And it was a couple plays to where they'll just, you two rush and you two sit back. And Lamar Jackson is so good. He's so talented. I mean, we've all seen the growth, the way he's throwing the ball inside and outside the pocket. But Lamar Jackson is a different breed. And when you talk MVP, you talk about a player that can make everybody around them better.
Look at this. Watch this play.
Yeah.
Now watch this. Fred Warner's 54. Best linebacker in football. Watch this.
And Lamar points at him, too. Got you.
Warner is it within 4 yards? And Fred Warner's a top 10 linebacker in the last decade.
Yep.
And by the way, watch this throw. Watch this sidearm throw. Watch this. Oh. You got to be kidding me.
Yeah. And he makes the game look so easy.
But Lamar, is he running half speed?
The Lamar Jackson effect is real. And if he wanted to have 20 rushing touchdowns when they get in there in the red zone, he would have 20 rushing touchdowns. But you know what they're doing? They're handing it off to Gus Edwards, and he has 12, 11 rushing touchdowns. The other running backs have 3 or 4. So Lamar Jackson is the MVP of the league right now. He's making it look so easy. I know a lot of people want to go to stats, with what Josh Allen's doing and Purdy and those guys are doing. But when you watch the tape,
I'll give you an example.
Lamar Jackson is the MVP.
Keyshawn Johnson's on the show before us. Keyshawn Johnson, in 11 years in the league, and I may be off on the number, had 16 quarterbacks. Okay, for you stat nerds.
Yeah.
What if he had Peyton Manning and just went out left like Harrison and only had to line up on one side?
Yeah.
He had 16 quarterbacks, I think, in 11 years. I read this years ago.
Yeah.
You don't think Keyshawn's career would be different?
No question.
That's why when I see these young players go to these dysfunctional organizations, it's like the media is obsessed with stats. Aaron Donald has made 2 third-round Ram draft picks on the defensive line look sensational, and they're good players. Aaron still gets triple teamed on plays.
No question.
Which, I mean, ask, in your career, was there ever a player that you thought to yourself, you just knew he was a dog? You hated when you had to play him, but maybe he didn't have all the picks
Yeah. Darrelle Revis. Darrelle Revis was one of those guys to where not going to wow you with a bunch of numbers, but you're not throwing at him. So his numbers are going to be down, and you hated playing him because even the mindset of the quarterback was like, I'm not trying Revis. And JJ, I know you good. Jordy, I know you may be good, but Revis on you. So why would I even go over there? I'll just go over here. And so
that's a great point with corners.
Stats-wise and numbers, he's not going to have a bunch of picks because you're not even trying him. It's the Deion Sanders effect as well. You're not even going over there trying them. That side of the field is shut down. It's the same thing with receivers. I seen Calvin Johnson get treated like a gunner with safety help over the top. Who gets viced at the line of scrimmage on offense? This is an offensive play. And you got two pro guys press coverage on you with safety help over the top. And the other guy might get a couple more yards than you in that game. That don't mean you better than Calvin. That is the Calvin Johnson effect. And same thing with a lot of the star receivers. I seen Devontae Adams get double teamed, and you see a lot of other players eating. That's the superstar effect. So the numbers may not be up there with the elite guys, but the effect on the football field of the game, to me, that is what screams MVP. And that's what Lamar's bringing even without having the numbers with the top guys.
By the way, just a minute on this. So J-Mac is not an Eagles guy.
Uh-huh.
And I am an Eagles guy. Last year, they're 14-3 and faced much weaker quarterbacks. Yeah. This year, they're going to finish 13-4. And my takeaway is all guys have a friend. When fit hits the shan, your life, your girlfriend throws you out of the apartment.
Yeah.
Somebody breaks up with you. You get fired. There's the guy you call. The Eagles are the guy you call. It's going to get to January with that O-line and Jalen Hurts and that toughness and that D-line. And you're going to go, yeah, Philadelphia's good. He thinks, he hasn't bought this team all year. So I always felt the same in the NFL.
Yeah.
When the big gate, like Buffalo now, suddenly everybody's like, Buffalo's good. Yeah, Buffalo's fine. Your take on the Eagles. Yeah. Should we be concerned that it never looks pretty?
Yeah. I will give you an air knuckle swipe over there because I agree with you, my dog. This ain't changing. I truly believe that it is going to be one and done for Philadelphia in the playoffs. And the reason why I say that is the year we won the Super Bowl 2010 season, we had to win our last two games to get in. We were 10-6, 6th seed, went on to win the Super Bowl. But at the end of the season, we started playing the type of football that we needed to start playing, and we were like, oh, my goodness, when we get in the playoffs, it is over for people. I don't care if it's in the snow. I don't care if it's in the dome.
You knew it.
We knew it. It is over for people. The next season, we were 15-1, and we all knew we ain't playing our best football.
You knew it.
And we had false confidence going. I would say that. We had false confidence going in the playoff because you're still finding ways to win. So you're like, oh, we'll find. But we knew, and we were talking just like the Philadelphia Eagles were talking after every game. Hey, we won, but we ain't playing our best. But what's our identity? We don't. And first round of the playoffs, the Giants came in there and said, this is your identity. Pack up and go home. And it finally caught us. And that is what I see with the Philadelphia Eagles. All season long, they have not played their best football, and it's coming out of their mouth. And then last week when you watched the game when the Giants were coming back, you have coaches chirping at each other, players chirping at each other, right? What's the identity? Are we going to run it? Are we going to let Jalen Hurts throw it? We're not getting after the passer. None of this stuff is changing overnight. And that's why these players keep coming out saying we got to play better, we got to play better, we got to play better. That's you this season. That is you. And it's going to catch up to you, especially in the playoffs when you got to play good team after good team after good team after good team. I think they won and done.
Great story.
And they won and done.
I remember that year you got hot. Atlanta.
Beat them down, too.
Beat them down.
Yeah, beat them down.
And then next year you're 15-1, and you knew.
And we knew. Locker room the whole time. It was so crazy. Like, usually after you lose a playoff game and you know your season's over, like, you got some crying, you got some body language, like, dang, man, we got to start this thing. We walked in that locker room like, hey, got us. Like, you know what I mean? Like, everybody kind of felt like, man, like,
you knew.
Like, we deserved this kind of. Like, we ain't been playing our best. Like, they got us.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.